What's up, guys? It's Sydney back with another video. And this video is actually a requested video by you guys. So I asked you guys on Instagram which video you would like me to do next, and someone told me if I can do a video on how I told my parents that I'm in a long distance relationship. And I thought this is the perfect idea. And I'm not gonna only talk about how my parents reacted, I'm also talking about my friends and just people that I'm surrounded with. So first of all, I just want to let you guys know that I grew up with my dad. My parents got divorced when I was about 5 years old, and I grew up and stayed with my dad. And my mom, I see her maybe like 4 or 5 times a year, just so you guys know already. So my dad plays like the main role in this when it comes to the parents part. William and I have been dating for a good 2 weeks already, and my dad already knew William. Like, I was FaceTiming with him the other day, and my dad got home and I was like, hey, this is William, it's a friend of mine. That time I already liked him more, but I wouldn't tell my dad. I was just like, that's a good friend that I know, and we're talking a lot. And they talked a little bit and they already got along with each other, so I was like, okay, if we end up being together, I think this could work really good. I was a little scared to tell my dad because I was like, he probably won't like the fact that we met online and stuff like that. I have friends from other countries that I met online. Sorry, that was a fly. That I met online and that I have already met. So I think it wasn't that new for my dad. It's just different because he's my boyfriend. I was meeting up with my dad here at his house, and he was cooking in the kitchen, and I was waiting for him to ask me what's new, because usually my dad asks me that. But that day, of course, that day I wanted to tell him, he didn't ask me. And I was like, why? What am I doing now? Because I just didn't want to come up there and be like, hey, I have a boyfriend that I met online, by the way. So I just went to the kitchen and I was like, hey, Dad, what's new? What's going on? He was like, oh, you know, not much. This and that, blah, blah, blah. What about you? And I was like, I have a boyfriend. He was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh God. And then he was like, where is he from? And I was like, he's from America. And he was like, okay. And I was like, that's it? You're not gonna say anything? And the only thing he said after that was, don't let anyone fool you. But that's because of my past. That's because of what I went through the year before with my ex-boyfriend, who was also my first boyfriend. And that was just really, really, really bad. And my dad and I had a lot of arguments because of that, and that's why he just said, don't let anyone fool you again. So, and after that, we just ate together, and he just asked how old he is, and he already knew that he's William from Atlanta, so he didn't have to ask that. But and he asked, of course, like, for how long. I was like, it's been like, I think it was around 2 weeks that we have been together when I told him. So I was like, around 2 weeks. And he was like, okay. And that's basically it. That's all my dad had to say. I was like, what? Who are you? What did you do with my dad? Because I was expecting, what? What do you mean? You met him online. You can't fall in love over a phone or over a camera, blah, blah, blah. I was expecting all of that. But my dad didn't say a word about that. He was fine with it. He was like, you gotta know what makes you happy, and that's what he told me. And of course he said he wants to wait until he meets him in person, and I was super surprised about that. My mom, since we don't see each other a lot, she's really happy when I tell her like new things that happen in my life. And of course, a boyfriend for a mother, that's just a big deal, I think. My mom and I were on the phone, and I told her, Mom, I have a boyfriend. And she was just like, what? You have a boyfriend? Nina! And she freaked out. She was so happy for me. It was so cute. My mom, she doesn't even know about all this online stuff and things. So she was just super happy for me over the fact that I have a boyfriend. Like, she was just all over the moon for me. It was adorable. So with my parents, it actually went really, really great. Like, I am really lucky that my parents took that so well. I didn't think my dad would take that so well, to be really honest, but I was super glad that he really took it that well. So another thing was my grandparents, because my grandparents, of course, they don't grow up with all this FaceTime and all these possibilities that we have nowadays. They didn't grow up with that, so they definitely didn't understand it. They didn't get it. When I told my grandparents I have a boyfriend, he's from America, they're like, well, how can you be in love with someone that you've never met this guy before? What do you mean? And don't be disappointed when he comes here. That's stuff that I always had to hear. My grandparents were really worse than my dad. Like, my grandparents were horrible. When I told them something about William, or I was like, my boyfriend, they were like, that's not even a real relationship, like a legit relationship. I was like, excuse me, Granny, what did you just say? I was like, I know you didn't grow up with that stuff, like with FaceTime or with all this stuff that we have nowadays, so you don't get it, but you don't have to say that. Like, honestly, that hurt me. I was like, excuse me, you can't judge my relationship like that. It was just really bad. Like, my grandparents, they were always like, oh, wait till you meet him. What if you're disappointed when you see him? And I would wait and not be so wet. And I was like, you really don't know what this is like. And kind of a mixed thing of my parents and grandparents happened with my friends. So my very, very best friends, Kathy, Vivi, and Janine, they were basically like, Janine was just telling me, be careful, but I'm happy for you. Vivi already knew. Like, Vivi is always making fun of me because she's like, I told you from the very beginning when you guys FaceTime that you're liking him. By that time, I wouldn't admit that I like William in that way. But she always says, I already knew from that moment on that you like him in that way. I told you. And she always tells me that. I'm like, okay. But she was immediately happy for me. Like, she was just waiting for the moment where he comes here and she would see how he treats me. Vivi is more like the protector person. She's like, oh, if you fuck up, I'ma find you and stuff like that. But she always had a good feeling about William, which I'm really glad about. And she would never say stuff like that. And Kathy, she was basically just asking me, oh, how did you meet, and how is he, and all these kind of things. How old is he? You know, stuff that friends ask. But she also never said something stupid like, oh, but you never met him. How can you be in love with him? It was a different thing with people that I was surrounded with. Like, let's say classmates from school. They were totally different about that. They were so annoying. I'm telling you guys, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have been through that. They look at you like, what do you mean? You have never met this guy before. Are you sure about that? What if you meet each other for the first time and you don't even like him? What if you don't like the way he looks? What if you don't like the way he smells? What if you just don't like him, or if you don't get along with each other? What are you gonna do then? And honestly, I feel like people who are not in a long distance relationship will never understand the feelings that you guys have for each other. They will never get it. Like, they will always ask you, what if you don't like him, blah blah blah. But when you see each other, like, even if it's only over a camera, you just vibe with each other. You get to know a person in completely different ways. It's not about the looks, it's more about the character, because I feel like when you get to know each other, and you can't even touch each other physically, you can only talk over like a camera, I feel like you get to know the person itself, like the character. You get to know that way more, because the only thing you can do is talk. You can only talk all day, every day. That's all you can do. You can't touch that person. You can just grab him, hug him, and give him a kiss, or show them otherwise that you like them, like, grab their hand or whatever. The only thing you have is a camera and your mouth, and that's it. You can only communicate. And I feel like a long distance relationship, that goes way more into depth than when you meet someone in person just like that. I mean, of course it can still be like that. Like, you can still sit in front of each other and talk, but I'm saying it's just really different. And people forget that you still see each other over a camera. They don't get, like, that the only thing you want is see that person jump into their arms, kiss and hug them. Anything else, honestly, to me, that anything else didn't matter. I knew what William looked like. I knew that I loved the way he looks, but most importantly, I loved the way he treated me. And that was only over a camera, but the way he talked to me, the things he said, we opened up to each other. That's just so deep in a relationship that all these other things that they are worried about, like the people, they're like, oh, what if you don't like each other, blah blah blah, they just don't see that it's way more in depth. And that's why I think that's an issue when you tell like people, oh, I met this guy and I'm in love with him and we're in a relationship now, but we have never seen each other. So I feel like only you guys can truly understand what it feels like, and I hope this video helped you a little bit. All I can tell you is, please don't take it too serious what people from the outside say. If they tell you, oh, what if you don't like each other, what if he doesn't like you, what if you don't like him, don't listen to that. If you feel in your heart that you love this person, and you feel and you know that you guys are gonna get along with each other, you're gonna love each other just as much, don't listen to what anyone says. Prove them wrong, have your pride, and show them, look, now after we met, of course, they're like, oh, I'm so happy for you, and I was like, yeah, but you doubted all this before I met him. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope it helped you a little bit. Let me know which video about long distance relationship you would like me to do next. Also, William is coming in 2 weeks, so expect definitely way more videos around that time. We're gonna work our butts off to make good content for you. So if you have any other video suggestions, drop them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Like and share if you would like to. And I hope this video really helped you a little bit. I love you guys so much. William and I thank you incredibly much for all your love and support. Mwah! I'll see you in the next one.